There is a huge amount of talent there, not just in the locker room, but working at management. The producers, the people that book the travel, the people that work in the office, the production, the camera people, top to bottom, some of the hardest working, nicest human beings I've ever met.
A world-traveled name on worldwide pay-per-view. You've seen him in WWE, Ring of Honor, now in Impact as well, and you'll see him at AAW, Never Say Die, on Fight TV, available worldwide. Get your tickets and info at aawpro.com. Mike Bennett, how are you? April 29th, it's coming up here. Sportskeeda Wrestling needs to know. Fred Yehi. This is a big deal. This guy's been beating people up and having some big matches. I've been covering AAW here for a couple of years and working for them. To be clear to everyone, I also work for Sportskeeda. I am doing some interviews backstage at AAW. He's the most intense guy. This guy grabbed a brick in a hallway and then used a brick in a match.
Yeah. You know what's actually really cool is I actually first met Fred on my second run at Ring of Honor. After I got fired from WWE, I went back to ROH. And he was being brought in every now and then for some shots here. And every time I would watch him, the one thing that always stood out to me is I would go, man, this guy's wrestling, the way he moves, his moveset, the way he just carries himself is different than anyone I've ever seen. He strikes different. He stalks you different. He does different moves. But it's all incredibly awesome. He was one of those guys that every time Ring of Honor would be brought in, I was like, I need to work that guy. I need to work that guy. I need to work that guy. And thankfully, having had hooked up with AAW, having my match with Josh Alexander a few months ago, we kind of had this mutual agreement, me and AAW, where I'm in this place now where I'm really trying to prove to people that I'm a different type of wrestler, that I'm not that old school Mike Bennett sports entertainer guy, that my style's different now. And I've really been focusing more on the old school Ring of Honor style, the old school Noah style, Japanese wrestling style, more strong style, more pure wrestling, more hard hitting. And AAW basically said to me, we want to help you prove that. We want to give you that platform, which first of all means the world to me. Like, I'm blown away by that. But secondly, I looked at it as the biggest opportunity because as an independent wrestler, AAW is a place I always wanted to get to. I finally got there, and now they're kind of giving me this blank sheet of amazing talent to prove myself. It started with Josh, and now of course it's Fred. I'm not going to say whether I know I'm going to win or lose or not. All I know is that I'm going to go there and I'm going to put on the absolute best match possible.
And that is, once again, live on fight.tv. That is AAW Pro. I know a lot of people, it happens all the time. Google, search engine optimization in our brains, right? Tickets available as well. That's going to be at 115 Bourbon Street on the south suburban side of Chicago, Illinois. aawpro.com, and of course on Fight TV, Never Say Die. Let's get into this. You're in this big sense of transition. There's the big wave of releases in WWE in 2019. Things get going. You're working with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is in a completely different position. Honor No More happens in Impact Wrestling. This has been a fun, disruptive force. Impact embraces the sense of disruption right now that has been going on in the wrestling business, and it seems like this entire faction you're with of former Ring of Honor guys in Impact is all about that.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny when they pitched the idea to me about what they were thinking about for Honor No More. They were like, we're seeing everyone as a group of guys that are constantly showing up at companies. For me, Maria, and, you know, Taven and Vincent were usually just at Ring of Honor. Kenny King's kind of bounced around everywhere. PCO's kind of bounced everywhere. And it's really this idea of a group of guys and one girl who are constantly going places, constantly being told this is the way you need to do it. Us going, okay, we'll do it that way. And then constantly being last in line every single time, being screwed over, being the first to be fired, being the first to get pushes pulled from them. And all in the line of like, we were told this is the way to act. This is the way we're supposed to do things. And then it never happens. And a lot of it's not too far from the truth. Without getting too bitchy, moany, and complainy, there's a certain realism to that. There's a certain realism to, I'm usually the guy that shows up places, does what he's told. I'm always a good little soldier. And then nothing usually happens. And at a certain point, you get fed up with it when you see guys that are politicking or ass kissing and they're consistently getting better shots than you. And I think there's this idea that this group is kind of like, all right, well, we did it the right way. Now we're going to do it our way and see what happens. It's been so much fun for the sole reason that every single one of the guys in the group, and obviously my wife, we're all super close in real life. We're all really good friends. I've known Vinny and Taven most of my career. I've known Kenny King since I started in Ring of Honor. PCO, I kind of just met, but who doesn't love PCO? He's 100 years old and still doing amazing freaking work. And I absolutely love the dude. And Eddie Edwards, I literally started at the same time in the same place in Massachusetts. Our careers kind of we've known each other since I was 15 and he was probably 16. So it's just really cool to see all this come together. And after doing this for 21 years, to be able to come together with your friends again, it's really cool for me.
There's something that you prompted something there, politicking, negativity, how sometimes those things kind of become the things that people talk about instead of the positive. Seems like you're in a positive thing. You're in a group that is literally spun out of negative situations and is going in a different direction. You did an AMA in 2020, and you said the negativity and politics are the things I want to change in the business. The best wrestlers should have the best spots. This kind of plays off what you were just talking about and kind of the fundamental core of what this new faction is. Do you still feel the best wrestlers get the best spots?
I think in certain companies the best wrestlers get the best spots, and I don't think in every company. It seems like it's very black and white, but a lot of it is nuanced. A lot of it is like, even in companies like WWE or at Ring of Honor or at AAW, there's always going to be certain guys that they don't have that personality to speak up and stand up for themselves. They're usually guys who are super talented, but they're not going to be the guys that are banging on doors. They're not going to be the girls that are banging on doors because it's not their personality. I'm a proponent of go out there, prove to me what you can do. If said crowd is reacting really well, you're going to get the push. It's like, go do a movie. If your movie does well at the box office, we're going to hire you for more movies. You're going to continuously do well. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen, especially at WWE, that doesn't happen. It's literally just who's the favorite at the moment. There is about 1 million guys and girls in that company that are super talented that could easily be in the main event, and they're just not. And there's a lot of guys on the indies and in different companies that could easily be in the main event, but they don't speak up for themselves, or they're timid, or they're shy, or they don't know how to politic, or they say the wrong thing one day and all of a sudden they're blacklisted. Like, I think stupid crap like that needs to go out the window. There's this idea in wrestling that if you're kind of like, the way you carry yourself backstage is how you're going to carry yourself out in the ring. And I don't believe that. I'm a firm believer that, like, you can be a very timid, shy person backstage, and then when you go out there, that can be your platform. That can be your stage where I've met actors and actresses who are super shy and timid. Then you put the camera on them, and all of a sudden they turn into this different character, this different person. My whole thing is, let the most talented people have the best jobs. I think recently we've been going in that direction. I think AEW has done a fantastic job of giving the best wrestlers the best spots. I think Impact has been doing a great job. Most of the time, Ring of Honor does, and sometimes it didn't. WWE is just terrible at that, but I think everyone knows that. I'm kind of beating a dead horse about that. Like, you have a guy like Ali, and you send him home, and you don't do anything with him. Now they brought him back, but you have a guy like that, it's like, clearly this guy is one of the best on your roster. Why wouldn't you use him? And I think that needs to go away, and it needs to be like, he's the best, use him more.
All right, that leads me, you brought up WWE quite a bit there, and you certainly have your stance and insight on it. Describe your experience in WWE. And I know I'm not asking for the easy clickbait. No, that's so done. Like, what is the highlight of that experience? What is something you took from that as someone who is in wrestling? Everybody wants to work their way into WWE, that you took from it that you'll always have.
The relationships. I formed some incredible relationships with people there. Because truthfully, the roster, a lot of the management is not the problem. The problem stems from the top, which everybody knows, and that's always going to be the case. But there is a huge amount of talent there, not just in the locker room, but working at management. The producers, the people that book the travel, the people that work in the office, the production, the camera people, top to bottom, some of the hardest working, nicest human beings I've ever met. And I formed some incredible relationships. It was also really cool to be in a company of that magnitude, to see how a company like that works, to see the corporate side of wrestling, because I never really got to see that before. It prepared me. It made me better in front of a camera. It taught me things that I could only learn there as far as being a TV wrestler. It made me more, it gave me more courage, because truthfully, once I got to the place, I'm sure I'll get attacked for this, but when I got to the place where I had the balls to go in and knock on Vince's door and ask for my release, it literally gave me all of the courage in the world to be like, nothing can scare you now. You went to the guy that you looked up to watching wrestling, you got to your dream job, and then you knocked on this guy's door and said, let me go from your company. And honestly, they didn't do it. But what I took away from it was this sense of being brave, this sense of being courageous, this sense of, at the end of the day, do what you feel in your heart you should do, because what's the worst that's going to happen? It's that saying, like, and you're still alive, you know? It's like that, oh, well, I shouldn't go do this, but it's not going to kill you. And then you can learn from it, and then you can move from it. And that just sums up so much of my WWE career. So much of it gave me confidence. So much of it went like, literally WWE was my dream job from when I was 12 years old. I wanted to be a WWE wrestler. I got there. I fell flat on my face. I failed miserably. And then I wound up, you know what? This isn't the dream anymore. The dream shifted and the dream changed. I'm still alive. I can still figure it out. So even something as miserable as that happening, where my dream job isn't what I thought it would be, I realized that you can just pick up the pieces and you can just move on to whatever the next dream is. It doesn't kill you. It doesn't end your life. It's not the end of the world. You can pick up and you can just move on. And that mindset completely changed how I view life.
Yeah, and wrestling isn't just WWE. There's so many other genres and slices and platforms, and especially now in the digital age. Let's play a little bit of word association here. We'll try and do these as fast as we can. I'll give you a framing, and you give me a wrestler or someone in the business that comes to mind. Sure. The next best wrestler. Who is the next best wrestler people need to pay attention to?
If we're going to go strictly wrestling-wise, and someone that I think is going to put on killer matches after killer match after killer match, there's two people that pop into mind. One is Mike Bailey, and the other is KC Navarro.
Who is the next big powerhouse in wrestling? Who's got the guns? Who's bringing up power?
You know what? He's not real. I'm just going to Jonah. Jonah is the next big guy, because he's been putting on killer matches from New Japan to Impact. He's been crushing it.
Who is always in character? You see them, they're never out of character.
You know what's funny is Heath Slater. Heath is always he's that happy-go-lucky guy that you see. What you see on TV is the same guy backstage, and I think that's why everyone loved him.
Who is one of the more creative people you've ever met? Because there's some sides to the business we don't get to see. Who's someone that's super creative?
Just because this is so fresh in my mind, we just did a 6-man tag against Motor City Machine Guns and Mike Bailey. And the way Alex Shelley and the way Sabin put together matches, I had never done a tag match against Motor City Machine Guns. So sitting there and listening to them put spots together and creatively put a match together, and then to listen to how they just focus on cadence. And I was just like, I sat down as a student. Like, I've been doing this 21 years. I literally was just like, cool, tell me more. Teach me. Oh, I'm in this match? Okay, plug me in, because I want to hear how you guys do this. It was just so incredibly fascinating to me.
I know, slight diversion. One of my favorite promos I ever got to shoot with AAW is we went and shot Chris Sabin meditating in someone's backyard behind. We just went and asked somebody, can we shoot this in your backyard, literally right behind Bourbon Street? And they said, yeah, sure. And it was just, there was no lighting, and it was very, very fun. And he just embraced the moment. It's quite ridiculous.
He's the best, man. I really do enjoy that guy.
Who needs to take it slow? Who's out there who's just like, dude, you are doing some ridiculous stuff? Who's the wrestler that makes you think like, whoa, hang on a second here. Like,
chill out a little bit.
Yeah. Who needs to take it slow?
Oh man, that's a tough one. You know what? Just from a pure intensity standpoint, sometimes when we're out there, I'm like, hey, Taven, just chill out a little bit. Hey, calm down. But that's our relationship, because we're yin and yang. Taven's the hothead, and I'm always the guy that's like, hey, can't we all just get along? But I think that's why we work so well. Like, sometimes we're out there and something will go wrong, and Taven will get so hot, and he'll just look at me, and I'll be like, and then all of a sudden we're back. But he also gives me the confidence to speak up for myself when I don't. His intensity is like, he'll be the guy that be like, no, you got to go F and say something right now. And I'll be like, yeah, because like sometimes I'm too laid back. So, and again, that's why we work out. He brings out what I need, and I think I bring out what he needs. All
right, this or that. Never meeting Paul Heyman, big part of your WWE career, or your friendship with Matt Taven. You have to choose. You have to choose.
And this isn't a knock on him, but I would no Paul Heyman. That's easy. I got that. Like, it's easy. Taven, he's like my best friend in the whole world. Taven is my best friend, and it's like my wife's my best friend, and then Matt Taven is right next. He was there. He officiated my wedding. He was the first person we called when I was getting clean and sober. He's been there for me through everything, thick and thin. I love that dude like a family member. So it's not even a close call for me.
Playing into this, the Kingdom or Honor No More?
Oh man, that's tough. See, that's a tough one, because what the Kingdom had me and Taven and Cole, which were all best friends, and obviously Maria. But Eddie Edwards is such a part of my history and my life, and such a strong friend too, that it's so hard to pick. But I'm gonna have to go with the Kingdom, only because I feel like that was my baby, and I hold it so close to my chest. Like, the name was my idea, and it originated with me and Cole and Matt Hardy. So it's very, and I feel like that's kind of when my career started to take off. So it's like that's special to me.
AAW Never Say Die is live on pay-per-view April 29th. Remember, if you can't watch it live, you can get infinite replays. All that info at aawpro.com. Of course, you can order at fight.tv. We'll put the links in with this video as well. If they want to follow you on social media, where do they go, Mike?
Go to Twitter at Real Mike Bennett. I like to communicate a lot. And go to Instagram at The Real Michael Bennett. And that's usually where I post most of my stuff.
And then your merch is up at, you have a merch store up as
well?
Yeah,
Pro Wrestling Tees too. Yeah, just go to Pro Wrestling Tees, type in Mike Bennett. I should be the only Mike Bennett. If I'm not, just look for the bald-headed guy.
Well, I
should
have done this the whole time. People are going to be confused. They're going to
look. It's going to be that Spider-Man meme where we're both pointing at each other. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate you.